No one in the world is exactly like you. And our practice, ideally, is personalised to what we need. Yoga Nidra is a beautiful practice. Is it suitable for everyone? No. People who suffer from psychosis or have schizophrenia, it is not a suitable practice for. It's great to learn practices that are portable, that don't involve rolling out a yoga mat. Are you holding issues in your tissues you haven't gotten rid of? Welcome to the Inner Fire of Yoga, a podcast about transformation, resilience, and the power of yoga beyond the mat. I'm Liz Albanis, senior yoga teacher and yoga therapist in training. This podcast was born in 2024 after I survived my second fire. Fire has been a recurring theme in my life, not just in the literal sense, but as a metaphor. It has asked me to burn away what no longer serves me, to transform and to rise stronger each time. This podcast is about that fire, the one that challenges us, but also fuels us to grow. If you've been showing up to your mat regularly but still feeling anxious, heavy, or stuck in the same emotional loops, this episode is for you. Here are some key things to think of with your yoga practice. One is meeting and balancing your mood without aggravating your anxious or depressed mood. Practicing consistently, regularly, and I mean daily. Because of the neuroplasticity of the brain, even 5 minutes a day can be more effective than 2 classes a week. So when a yoga therapist gives someone a program, it's often a twice daily thing. When I studied with Dr. Timothy McCall, who himself is a medical doctor, a yoga teacher, and a world-renowned yoga therapist and author, he emphasized neuroplasticity of the brain. Practicing daily often. Consistency matters. Often we rely on yoga classes to get our yoga practice in because that's what yoga is in the modern day. That's what people think of, going to a yoga class to practice yoga. But the beauty of it is you don't have to do a 200-hour yoga teacher training to be able to practice some yoga at home. Going to classes is great, but you can't always get there. We had a prime minister that had time every morning to go for a walk with his security team. I'm sure we have time to fit in 5 to 10 minutes a day of some sort of yoga practice. So if you can only feel calm after a guided class, you're going to find yourself in a pickle. I know of people that have said, haven't been able to get to a class and been going nuts and crazy. And it'd be great if they could learn some tools they could practice independently as well as going to their classes. Working on having a balanced automatic nervous system. A lot of us in the modern day world are sympathetic nervous system dominant. A sympathetic nervous system is not the bad guy. We need it. The sympathetic nervous system is often known as the bad guy, the get up and go. The one we need if a tiger is chasing us, for instance. So we do need that SNS. There are some people in the world who are parasympathetic nervous system dominant. The parasympathetic nervous system is known as the good guy. It's the rest and digest system. But there are some people who have parasympathetic nervous system dominance. Severe melancholic depression is one example. A well-balanced one is also one that when the danger has passed, that switches back on smoothly. So it doesn't take ages for the parasympathetic nervous system to kick in after that danger has gone. The same thing goes, though, if the danger occurs, that SNS kicks in quickly and appropriately. It doesn't overreact to something that is not a danger. Trauma will cause a person to have that startle response, and the SNS will kick in too quickly when it's not needed. If your nervous system isn't adapting properly, like a car with faulty brakes, then even yoga can feel draining. You might be doing all the right things, but still feel stuck in fight or flight. Part of this is creating efficient breathing patterns in our practice, but also in everyday life. But it's not just the mechanics. The blood gases being important too. Developing CO2 tolerance, because a lot of us are over breathers. We breathe too much. We have too much air hunger. So it's not just important to focus on the breath mechanics. It's also important to look at the blood gases on and off the mat. Timing, taking into account the season, the time of year, but also the time of day. That is important too, because obviously in the evening, we want a practice that is not going to make us so energized that we can't go to sleep. We've got to keep in mind the time of day with our central nervous system. So in the mornings, we want an energizing practice, not a practice that's going to put us to sleep. So the time of day matters. And that's one of the many myths of yoga. I've had so many people say to me, "Oh, yeah, I'm going to go to a yoga class so I'll sleep better." Well, not necessarily. It depends. Yoga can keep you awake as well. Personalizing your practice to you, because you are you. No one in the world is exactly like you. And our practice ideally is personalized to what we need. Hence why yoga was initially taught one-on-one, handed down, not taught in a group setting. Learning what you need for your practice, and that will change over the years. As you get older, your practice will change as your needs change as well. It can be really useful to work one-on-one with someone qualified to learn about what practices suit you. When a yoga practice isn't personalized, it's not tailored to your specific needs. Yoga practices are like penicillin, not just the poses. One may be medicine to you, but poison to someone else. There are many contraindications with yoga practices. For instance, yoga nidra is a beautiful practice. Is it suitable for everyone? No. People who suffer from psychosis or have schizophrenia, it is not a suitable practice for. Mania can be an issue too there as well. The modern day yoga world, as Rebel said, my first guest, is too postural focused. There's too much emphasis on yoga poses and flexibility. A really key, important part of yoga is self-inquiry, svadhyaya, self-study. Study of the yogic philosophy and study of yourself. Practicing consciously with presence when we practice, including postures, not treating them like an exercise class. Without it, we're just moving our bodies without asking, why am I reacting this way? What patterns am I stuck in? Why does this yoga pose irritate me? Why does this instructor irritate me? Why do I always have to place my mat in that part of the yoga studio? So yoga's meant to help you uncover these sneaky habits that keep us stuck. And if we're completely oblivious to them, how can we start to drop them? We can learn a lot about ourselves with our yoga practice. And samskaras can be good, but we want to uncover and change, get rid of the samskaras that keep us stuck in ways we suffer. And we suffer many ways. We don't want to just focus on postures in our practice as well, because there's going to come a time when you injure yourself or you're ill and postures aren't an option. Postures aren't necessary anyway, but they're not an option. So, for instance, I had 2 lots of surgery last year. I was in hospital and my surgeon said to me, no yoga. And I said, I can practice yoga at the hospital. I can practice my meditation and that. So there's going to be times when you can't practice any postures and it's going to involve just breath work, self-inquiry. It's great to learn practices that are portable, that don't involve rolling out a yoga mat, such as pranayama, breathwork, meditation, relaxation, self-study, somatic release, which I touched on in another episode, issues in our tissues. Yoga is a somatic practice. Are you holding issues in your tissues you haven't gotten rid of? And you can sometimes feel that in a pose. You'll feel a release. As Justine beautifully described, Justine Jansen, that she could see this in students when she was teaching. We want that somatic release if we're holding on to stuff, because we hold issues in our tissues. You might find yourself crying suddenly in a class, in a certain pose, like I have. Or you might find yourself tremoring, you're releasing something. We do want to release stuff if we need to, in a careful way. This is what I support people with, practicing independently, improving their mental health. There are so many wonderful yoga practices that aren't taught in group classes just because they can't be. And I hope you've gotten something out of that and it's inspired you to mix it up a bit, add something else into your regular yoga practice. Thank you for joining me on the podcast. I hope today's episode has left you feeling inspired and informed and empowered to take meaningful steps towards your well-being. If there's a topic you'd like me to cover, or if you'd like to share your story, I'd love to hear from you. Just fill in the form on the podcast page of my website. Your voice is an important part of this journey. I want this podcast to reflect the conversations that matter most to my listeners. If today's episode resonated with you, please share it with someone who might benefit from these conversations. Don't forget to subscribe. It helps grow this incredible community of resilience and support. Until next time, take care of yourself and never forget the power, the possibilities of a regular yoga practice. See you soon.